Yeah, Chinmay, you may start. We are live now.
Okay. Hi, this is Chinmay Sogani, and I am your host for today. Welcome to Social Conundrum's final presentation round. What is Social Conundrum, you ask? The Social Conundrum is the Quark's attempt at creating a case study event, which is also a social initiative. In this event, we have partnered with India's biggest NGOs such as Child Rights and You, Save the Children, and Akshaya Patra Foundation. We have reached out to these NGOs and found out some of the prominent issues faced by them, and we have curated case studies based on them. Teams from all over India have racked their brains for weeks and came up with these solutions to these problems. And from them, we have shortlisted the teams with the best solutions, who will shortly present their solution to the judges. So, without further ado, let's introduce the judges. The first judge is someone who is highly qualified. She secured AIR1 in the CA finals. She is a record holder in the Indian Book of Records for the youngest chartered accountant and now working for the Boston Consulting Group. We introduce you to Nandini Agarwal. Ma'am, would you like to address the audience?
Yeah, thanks, Chinmay, for such a great introduction. Hello, everyone present here. First of all, thanks to entire Quark team for inviting me as a judge and giving me an opportunity to contribute to the cause. And I'm looking forward to hear all the solutions that all the participants have come across, and really look forward that I can make a meaningful choice and come up with the right decision.
Oh, thank you, ma'am. The second judge for the day is someone who is our very own alumni. He is a business analyst at Karne. We present to you Ishan Sharma. Sir, would you like to speak a few words?
Thanks, Chinmay, for the introduction. Really happy to be here. Looking forward to some great ideas, some great and some inspirational ideas as well. And let's just get into this. Really excited to be here.
Yes, sir. Okay, thank you, sir. Let's introduce the third and final judge for the evening. He is an upcoming consultant at Bain & Co. We present to you Yash Rathi. Sir, would you like to give us few words?
Hello, hi guys. I'm really sorry. I'm just read some place. I'll just turn on my camera in a minute. But I saw the problem statement. I think they're very engaging, and I think the teams that we have would definitely be able to do justice to it. So looking forward.
Okay, thank you, sir. So let's move forward with the presentation. Now, I would like all the teams for the evening to know that you have a time limit of 10 minutes for presentations. Okay, I would like to introduce the NGO Child Rights and You. This organization focuses on changing behaviors and pattern at the grassroots level and the policies and influencing the public policy at the systematic level to create an environment where the children are the priority. CRY works on 4 key areas that are education, health and nutrition, safety, and child involvement. So, I'd like to call the teams Big Shots. You can share your screen and start with the presentation.
Can everyone see my screen?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Sani, you may start.
It's visible.
The happiest people I know are those who love to be for the service of the others. Good evening, one and all present here. Today, me and my partner Yashraj Rajput are going to discuss and offer answers to two main issues: the problem of lack of personality of an individual in an organization and the widening gender gap. In this presentation, we will talk about challenges in acquiring the best workforce, and we will also look at the solutions accompanied by a fellowship program structure. Lastly, we will address the problem of gender gap in the social sector and the stereotypes related to it. I would like Yashraj to take the presentation forward.
So, first of all, let's look at some of the challenges because of which the social services sector and CRY is failing to attract talent. So, first of all, people consider this sector as a part-time job provider, which is uninteresting, which pays less than a traditional job, and it involves physical exhaustion along with the mental exhaustion involved in the job. People also feel that the social sector is always short on resources to achieve its target. With our fellowship program, our vision is to create a cadre of visionary leaders to undertake catalytic and collaborative roles in facilitating social development processes for an inclusive and equitable society. We will offer our fellows to work in adolescent development, child protection, early childhood development, education, health, and nutrition. We provide these areas of work to our fellows so that they can choose one or two specific areas of work as per their interest. Now, Sohani will go on to explain some of the key highlights of our fellowship program to tackle the problem of talent attraction.
Our fellowship program is structured such that it will offer our fellows a chance to progress in the social sector and also develop leadership abilities. In order to make them feel appreciated, we will also provide them with monthly grants. Our collaboration with businesses operating in public and private sectors will give our colleagues the chance to build expertise in a variety of industries and land fantastic jobs. They will also get a chance to specialize in their chosen fields like adolescent development, childhood development, etc. For any fellowship program to be successful, it is very important that we select participants who are passionate and are willing to give their 100% for the betterment of the society. We have designed the interview process which judges the emotional as well as academic intelligence of an individual. We believe in our 4 P's philosophy, which tells us that if a person is passionate enough to contribute to the organization, secondly, it lets us know about the professionalism of the person. It tells us about their skill set. Thirdly, the personality is something which matters a lot in the social sector. Here we judge if the person has sympathy and empathy to contribute towards the social cause. And fourthly, perspective, which is very important because it tells whether the perspective of the person matches with the perspective of the organization or not. As a part of the interview process, we will be asking questions to our participants about the problems they have faced in the past or the scenarios that would be challenging to them. We will also be testing their critical skills like empathy, entrepreneurial mindset, good listening, etc. Now, I would like Rashraj to take the presentation forward.
So our fellowship program is structured between three core activities. The first is familiarization, second is implementation, and then there is sustenance. So familiarization involves making our fellows familiar with CRI's values and what it does, and making sure they interact with one another and the higher ups in the organization. As the name itself explains itself, it involves familiarizing people what CRI does. Implementation involves them doing real work under the supervision of experts where they actually work on actual projects. This stage ensures that the fellows do what they were recruited for. And finally, the sustenance is for ensuring CRI's continuous growth, where interested fellows are converted into full-time social workers of the organization. Now, Sohani will give you a detailed walkthrough of the entire fellowship program, which we call CRI's FIS Fellowship, an acronym for the three core activities mentioned previously.
Our fellowship program is divided. The participants clear the first milestone as soon as they clear their job, as soon as they clear their interview. The second is the orientation session, where they interact with their peers, they get to know the organization better and their projects better. The next milestone is a real-time exposure, which is 1 month duration, where they get to work with the experts in their NGO and gain real-time experience. After this, the foundational course is done. The next is choosing your project and working towards that project. After that comes the deep research for that project, where they have to deeply research the project and also prepare a viable project proposal. Then the project proposal will go to the specialist for approval. If there are any recommendation or changes, that has to be made. The project proposal will be revised. After that comes the real hard work, where they have to spend their 10 months to implement their project and their vision. During those 10 months, they have to work very hard because they would be evaluated on the basis of their impact that they have created in those 10 months. After that comes the project submission and the preparation of statement of impact and project report. On the basis of the project report and the statement of impact, they will be evaluated. The next is the placement opportunity, where they will get the chance to be placed as a full-time employee, either with CRI or its partners. After getting the job comes the last milestone, which is graduation ceremony, where they would be awarded for their hard work and they would be given their grants and certificates. After that, after this, we come to a second case study, which is the gender gap issue. And I would like Yashraj to take you towards some of the challenges that we face in this area.
Okay, so this kind of gender gap that is currently existing in CRI's organization, we have decided to call it inverse gender gap because in this organization, the number of males is less than the females. So we have decided to call it inverse gender gap. So there are four primary reasons that why this is happening: empathy, pay, feminine, and marriage. Firstly, women are considered empathetic more than men, which contributes to the gender bias. Since CRI works for child protection, there is an implicit bias that women will do this work better than men. Secondly, there is poor pay, where the average salary of a social worker is around only 6,000 and thus 16,000, and thus it is not considered a worthwhile job by men. Thirdly, it is considered a feminine job by male. So, just as there is a bias that more females are preferred in childcare, men also consider it as a feminine job. In fact, they are trained to hide emotions and are discouraged from discussing them. This field involves dealing with fears and hidden concerns. So, they are hesitant to join this field at the first place. Finally, due to the patriarchal nature of our society, many females do not work and instead engage in social work to pass their time. Now, Sohani would like to highlight some of the core elements of our solution to beat the inverse gender gap.
Even though many people think that women are the flag bearers in the social sector, it is not completely true. It is shocking to know that even though women outnumber men in social sector, they do not control it. The managerial and the senior positions are enjoyed by the males. Also, there is stereotype that women are more emotional, so they fit better in social roles. As per as a New York Times report, women are neither more emotional nor less emotional than men. To break these stereotypes, it is very important that we recognize the men problem as much as we recognize the women problem. They should have the freedom to speak and express themselves in order to feel the ease in working in this industry. It is also very important that we adopt the notion of social work early in men. For this, summer camps can be organized where where the students of class 12th or any class of school students and college students can work in the NGOs and they can understand the value of social sector better. Partnering with stakeholders such as educational institutes and companies is an essential step to curb the inverse gap as they support the same objective we support. Nextly, I would like Yashraj to explain the comprehensive strategy we have designed to beat the inverse gap.
So our comprehensive strategy to curb the inverse gender gap focusing on two main things, that is awareness creation and taking action. Taking action. For awareness, we can use three means, that is social media channels, education institutions, and content creation. Through social media channels involves spreading the message of inverse gender gap by creating Instagram reels, creating documentary style and infographic videos and shorts on YouTube, and collaborating with influencers and podcasts to create awareness regarding the same issue. In order to raise awareness among the most impressionable population segment, that is children and students, we can use schools and colleges where we can set up informational booths and posters and pamphlets during the college fest. We can keep essay writing contests to provoke thought and dialogue and give webinars and seminars on the subject matter. Finally, we can write blogs and articles which highlight the issues and their solutions. Specifically, we can market these through our social media. We can also create a newsletter to spread our message on a regular basis by publishing inspirational stories and informational content. The next part of our strategy focusing on taking action to curb this gender gap by focusing on personal management, joining forces, and interest building. So while we recruit, we should make sure that we recruit on the basis of merit and interest and not on the basis of gender. And since there is a lack of female leadership, we should make sure that leadership selection is also gender bias free. We should also try to provide reasonable compensation to our fellows, which we have earlier said in our solution that we will provide grants to them. Then we should join forces with the CSR departments of various organizations.
10 minutes are up, so I would like you to wrap it up in 1 minute. Okay.
Yeah, thank you, sir. then we would like to join forces with the CSR departments of various organizations to get volunteers who are interested in the childcare and social work so that these employees can get a taste of this field. Finally, we can spike the younger generation's interest in this field by offering 2 to 3 week summer camps in the schools and summer internship to the first and second years students in colleges who are really keen to explore various fields. The action part of our strategy focuses on giving people experience of the organization and childcare, they can be bias free since they have experienced the field firsthand, and they can also decide whether childcare enters them or not. As most people have never tried childcare or, for that matter, social services. If we combine awareness with impactful action, we can surely eliminate the inverse gender gap. Thank you for patiently listening to us.
Okay. So I would like to ask the judges if they have any questions for them, like questions regarding the presentation.
I had 2 questions. Can they open up the presentation again?
Yeah, sure, sir. I just mistakenly closed it. Yeah.
Yeah, great presentation, guys. I think very well structured also. Also a great bunch of strategy-based solutions. So I think very well done on the work that you were assigned. Can we go to the 4th slide? Yes, this one. Right. So you mentioned about the whole truth and you mentioned the illusion of inverse gap.
Yeah.
Whatever like considerations you took, again, even if this is the truth that managerial and senior positions are enjoyed by males, I think that again becomes a problem, right? So again, maybe a little out of this case study, but if you were to be asked what solutions can you give so that these managerial and senior level positions can also be, say, taken up by women and there can be an equitable, say, gender, say, diversity in these higher positions, what would be a solution?
Okay, so sir, as I previously mentioned in our personal management as well, that leadership should not be restricted to only men, but it must be expanded to females as well. And since this is a problem in leadership as well, and the problem that we currently are trying to solve is at a lower level of management. So for ensuring that women also join the leadership positions, we should first of all we should try to create awareness regarding the same, that yes, this is the problem. Acknowledgement should be the first step, and we should ensure that all of our employees in the organization know about it.
All right, we got it. And can we just go to the previous slide again to say surely that whole roadmap? A previous one. Right. Again, I think great structure that you try to present. With just one small question that I just went through the background of CRY, what they do. So when you mentioned that there'll be multiple projects that they can take up, can you suggest a few projects that maybe CRY would like to initiate under its fellowship program? Again, top of your mind, whatever you think CRY does on basis of that, what do you think are the type of projects that CRY can get for its fellowship program?
Sohani, would you like to take up that question?
Yeah, yes, sure. Yashash, can you please take us to the earlier slide, like the previous slide?
Yeah.
The previous slide, like the second slide.
Yeah.
Yes, this one. Sir, here we have mentioned the work areas in which we would like to conduct our fellowship program. Here we also talk about adults in development, which is not taken up by CRY, I think, so far. They have taken child development programs, but adults in development is a whole different thing, which deals with children who are above 12 years old or 11 years old, who have a different mindset than those who are 6 years old. Apart from this, we have also taken nutrition, child protection and health as our issues. So I think those are the work areas which we can implement. And our fellowship program also focuses on new ideas and new strategies which we can come up with, which the fellows can come up with to curb these problems, because we are giving them their own project to implement. We are not asking them to implement our project. We are asking them to implement their own project, their own vision.
Got it. I think makes sense. Great. Thank you so much.
I have another 2 questions. So it will come on the last slide wherein you have described the strategies to actually combat the gender gap. So you have mentioned the different ways to do it, like social media, education institutes. Can you explain me, or can you present some ideas that you have upon your mind which would work to actually change the mentality of the males, that NGOs work is not just for females and males should also do it. It's a social cause. Like, do you have any specific ideas upon your mind? How are you going to do it through social media or through content creation?
Through social media and content creation, ma'am, I think so. This is why we've designed this two-part strategy: awareness and action. So the social media channels are for creating awareness that this is a problem that our organization is facing, and for bringing the actual change, we focused on this action part where we can give them hands-on experience so that the males actually experience that social work is not something which is restricted for females only. Like, we will collaborate with the companies, CSR department, so that the males here can experience here that yes, maybe the social work might be for them, and they can spare few hours from their weekend for the social work. And we will, from the grassroots level, we will try to organize summer camps and internships, so the students also understand by experience that that it is not something that is restricted for females only.
Okay, okay. And secondly, on the fellowship program that you have structured, like a very well structured program, everything is so clear what will happen after 1 month, 2 months. Just one question, like you have described it to be the 1 year duration program. So,
Yes.
what's the rationale for the same? Like, why is it not 9 months or more than a year? Has there been any rationale behind it?
Uh, I don't think there was any rational. We looked at some of the fellowship programs of other organizations. So ideally, the average duration for all of them was 1 year. So we decided to design it over the course of 1 year.
Okay, okay. And is there any other program that you would be offering after fellowship, or do you think should be offered after fellowship?
Yeah, surely. So, ma'am, as we've explained this, and if you look at this milestone right here after 10 months placements, so at this point, a few selected candidates would be offered that they can become our full-time members.
Okay, okay, got it. Makes sense.
Yeah, so I think I had just one question, and
Yeah.
before that, just wanted to let you know that this was a great presentation. Really liked the
Thank you.
structuring, and the way you proceeded with the presentation. It had a proper story to it, so that kind of made it easier to understand. So could you go to the next slide?
Yeah.
First, I would like to just start with some feedback here, based on the section where you have mentioned the whole truth. So essentially, those are two suggestive statements. I would like to see some numbers or some proof, which I think there should be. This inferences must have been, kind of should have come up after carrying out some surveys or anything. So if you have some numbers here, I would really like to see it.
Okay, so for this false skill, we've taken reference from this New York Times article. And for this illusion of inverse gap, actually, my teammate she's working in a social. Shani, would you like to answer this?
So I'm working in a social organization called Lions Club. So this was actually it was done. Actually, it was my. I read in some article also. Like, there are articles written about it, and this has been. I can't really remember the organization. It was one organization which can be trusted, but I can't really remember the name. They also wrote an article about this problem. Also, I'm also working in an organization called Lions Club, and in Lions Club International, which is essentially a social entrepreneurship organization. They like to keep men. This was also my observation. Apart from this, there are like articles and numbers about this from which we have taken the inferences and we have presented it.
Yeah, and if you want to know the references, you can just look it up in these reference links that we mentioned in the appendix.
Yeah, that's the thing. So essentially, I have gone through the appendices already. If you have numbers, please do put them there. And secondly, since if you're making a suggestive statement, it is much appreciated if you are able to back it up with the data there and there itself, because it's a like the first statement itself, illusion of an inverse gap. It's a very bold statement. So you might be faced with some questions like I'm asking here, where did you get the data from? Yeah. So this is just a feedback from my end. The question that I have here is just one thing that I just kind of thinking about at the moment, just come across in the top of my head. usually, let's say a person like me who does not have a lot of information, neither did I kind of bother about participating in social causes, neither did I got a lot of opportunity to do that. Let's say if I'm a fresher, I want to start, I want to kind of start looking volunteering at some NGO. And since I'm a male and we are addressing a question of low participation in of male workforce in NGOs, can you give me some instances as to how can you improve? Let's the word for it is accessibility. How can you make a program like the fellowship program that you said here accessible
Yeah.
to a person like me who has no idea as to where to start from, who to look for? How can you do that? I'd like to hear some 2 3 points if you have it.
Okay, so sir, firstly, it depends upon at what stage you are in your career. If you are in a school or if you are in a college, then obviously that we will come to your college or school to offer summer camps and internships. So maybe you will get to know us about from there. And if you are an employee, that maybe your CSR, we will contact your CSR departments so that you can get to volunteer there. And apart from that, we have other channels like social media from which you can know about it. And apart from these three, Instagram Reels, Short, Podcast, and Collab, we can also go to the LinkedIn and post about whatever the organization does from there, since a lot of employees are really active on LinkedIn.
All right, all right. And one more follow-up question on that. Additionally,
Yeah.
considering you are trying to pitch to students and employees alike, uh, on the accessibility part itself, would you like to consider the fact that we also have restrictions? Restrictions, I mean flexibility issues. Let's say I'm broadly talking about employees, flexibility issues as to how much time we can devote. So that also is a very big problem towards accessibility. How can your fellowship program address that? Because like I
Uh,
said, it's a 10-month commitment. So, and but I'm really interested, but I would like to have something which is very much flexible. Do you have any
Yes, sir. Actually, sir, I think you are confusing this fellowship program with our strategy to deal with the inverse gender gap. So, inverse gender gap in here, as an employee, you will be able to volunteer for various initiatives that the organization is currently taking up. You will not be a fellow of the organization.
all right. So that's what I'm trying to just clarify here. So the
Yeah.
fellowship program is not getting involved with the strategies that you're trying to
Yeah,
suggest
sir.
for getting.
So if you just want to try out the social work, then you can be our volunteer, which I think CRY currently does also. And if you want to dedicate your 1 year to this fellowship, 1 year to the CRY, 1 year to the childcare and social work, you can be our fellow.
Okay, okay, all right. And let's say if I'm not, let's just remove the part of the fellowship program. Then how
Yes,
would
sir.
you address the flexibility issues in your strategy?
Okay, so the volunteer drives are not carried on a weekly basis. They are usually carried on the weekends. So I guess most of the employees are free on their weekends. If they really want to contribute for the social cause, they can maybe spare time from their schedule.
All right, got it. That'll be all from my side. Thank you, guys. Great presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Team Big Shots, for your presentation. So let's move forward. I'd like to call upon Teen Avengers. You can share your screen and start with your presentation.
All right. Let me share my screen first.
Yeah.
I hope it is visible now.
Yeah, it's visible.
Your change can make a difference in the world. Everyone has something to contribute. So why not start it today? With this thought, a very good evening to all the dignitaries present here. Today, we Team Avengers from Great Lakes Institute of Management, Gurgaon campus, are going to present before you for the case study competition of CRY, that is Child Rights and You, given to us. Now, as we know that CRY is looking forward to improve its fellowship program and to attract male candidates, particularly from the market, and in order to improve its interview processes, for which we have identified the changing behaviors from both our primary and secondary market research, such as first that we would like to say is that access your image in the market. That is, people will volunteer at your organization for a variety of reasons. But the first attraction will most likely be is how they perceive it. Never presume that the general public is aware of who you are and what you do. Never presume that volunteers won't want to assist difficult clients. To help potential volunteers decide if they will feel at ease working with your population, try to characterize with your clientele. Apart from that, we would also like to suggest that don't put passion for the cause first. As opposed to learning how to do a good job of the work, it is far simpler for a new employee to pick up the values of Christ NGO and embrace the mission accordingly. With this, the decision making process is something that every organization, every NGO should look upon at a very significant level. For example, describe to the volunteers or the potential candidates about what constitute the success for the NGO. There should be a clear outline about the quantifiable performance objectives to aid in providing candidates with clarity and more precise understanding of the role. Think about posting job openings. Determine whether the advertisement is applicable for all the job posts or just those in a certain category. For example, using job sites like LinkedIn, Naukri.com, monsterjobs.com, they may help for certain roles that might have high turnover rate. Decide if you want to market any open roles as well. Make decisions like whether to add videos or reels to job posts to attract more applicants, or whether to create a more sophisticated template to market available positions rather than just posting simple normal job descriptions or JD into the market. Moving further, we have identified the interview process structure, that is, utilize structured interviewing. For example, create a list of questions to elicit information about a candidate's abilities, personality, and qualifications for a certain position via using psychometric testing or a real-time situation analysis or simulation question analysis given to a candidate on the spot may help the NGO to get the right and suitable candidate for the available open position of the job. By doing this, it will be simpler to evaluate prospects side by side and decide who is the greatest fit for your team. In job descriptions as well, it is very important to use inclusive wording. For example, use words that will appeal to a varied talent pool by being welcoming. For instance, employees adjectives with a masculine connotation in your job description, including strong, competitive, and assertive, will turn off women. At each touchpoint, request candidate feedback as well. Understand what you are doing well and where improvement should be made as well is the best method to create a better applicant exercise. Services for volunteer referral. Services that refer volunteers to programs can be quite helpful as well in attracting new volunteers for Christ's cause. Focus on behavior patterns as well. This is something that nowadays European countries are opting in order to hire a suitable candidate for their organizations. For example, create on-the-spot situation to analyze the behavior and genuineness of the candidate. Moving further, there are other ways that we have identified as well, such as student community network. That's one of the best way that the CRISE can follow. Students community and the organizations where students can volunteer all gain from the community services. Children and teenagers can contribute significantly to a volunteer force. A different source of volunteers can also be found, such as service providers, shelter residents, retirees and those in recovery, community organizations, and mothers who stay at home as well. Include multiple components in the fellowship programs, such as departmental rotations and shadowing, community and civic activities, exposure to executive leadership and decision-making processes as well. Provide a detailed description of the program involving two simultaneously occurring phases. During the orientation or rotation phase, the individual spends time in operations, corporate services, finance, legal, and the foundation, and meets with medical staff officers as well. The implementation performance phase focuses on project assignments, attending educational conferences, and site visits as well. This will give them a practical knowledge as well as boost their confidence into the organization's mission and vision as well. Include activities like weekly meetings to understand individual expectations and aspirations as well. Introduce activities involving hosting fun events after work at least once a month that can be followed. Moving further, I would like to invite my colleague Shubham to explain you further about how fellowship program can be structured in a supportive way.
Thank you, Yash. So we didn't design this fellowship structure only for CRI, but for any social work organization those who are facing this problem. So this is a circular arrangement whereby one can go to any of the steps that is required as and when. First is the recruiting cohort, as by after the interview process, we have say 15 or 20 of the people joining in. So they require a comprehensive training. They might be interested in NGO work, but they don't know how to work, how to show empathy, where to show empathy for children with elders and others, how to differentiate those empathies. So a comprehensive training. Now, one-to-one leadership coaching. After the training, they get to know that this is the type of work that is done by the NGO, and now they might want to choose which kind of work they want to do. So one-on-one handling, whereby the mentor will help them choose a project and understand whether the person is capable of going through that project or not. Then comes the handy resources. Once after choosing the project, the person needs those previous resources whereby he or she can gather certain kind of information like this is the work being done by my seniors or the previous colleagues, and this is the work that I can do to improve the same thing. After that, when say after those 15 people, five people are there who have chosen similar kind of work, let's make them into group. For example, a group of triads or quadruplets. For example, a small group is very much efficient. So the team can divide in itself the kind of work they'll be doing. For example, some will be going through the financial aspect, some will be going through the hierarchy aspect, some will be going to the planning aspect, while some will be going through the timeline aspect. This way, this team can join together to form a whole comprehensive workforce. And then comes the project progress report. For not only NGO, any organization, a project progress report is required to assess whether the person is doing good in his or her task and whether the person can be rotated in another task for a better efficiency system. Next slide, please. So yes, the primary analysis. Before going towards our suggestions, what we did, we contacted 50 men from in our college and also our contacts and got the data. For example, 90% of them have no idea about the job prospects in social service. Even some of our professors, 96% want to try social service was as a project because, see, we want our work to be a profession. But if we don't know what that profession will give us, we won't be interested in that. So they wanted to work as a project to see whether there is a satisfaction in that, whether they derive satisfaction from there or not. Similarly, 80% of them want to hear from men in social service that how they are working there, what is their mental satisfaction, what is the gain from there. 86% don't know about men in social service. They don't even know what kind of men are working in social service, how they are being helped there, or how they are helping the society there. And last 80% think social service works are not interesting career-wise. See, for the social service work to be interesting for men, because our problem statement caters to men and pink collar jobs. So to make the job interesting, we have to see the mentality of the men. Men's mentality is wired in such a way that we want a hierarchy system. We want certain system where we are told that this is the kind of levels that we will be working to. This is the financial aspects or this is the organizational aspects there. So we have to tell them that. Next slide, please. Yes, so we have made the strategies, 8 strategies to cater men in social service. Socio men or break the stereotype. This is the advertisement campaign where we'll be making advertisement showing that yes, men can also help in social service and pink collar jobs, that men are also required there equally as women are required. So second is men in pink or showcase the men in the social service sector. For example, our beloved Mr. Ratan Tata, he is also involved actively in social service. So why not tell about this kind of people who are actually helping in social service and they are also very well-known name, so that we can trigger the mentality of the men to show them that yes, if they can do it, these people can also do it, and this is will be helpful to the society and to themselves also. Some Purush or men can be more campaign. Here we'll be totally utilizing the social media, whereby we'll be asking men or young gents to make small videos and post it by tagging our CRY or other NGO, and accordingly they'll be given some kind of gifts or hampers or any vouchers, so that these 3, Socioman, Men in Pink and Some Purush, will be an ice-breaking session where we'll be melting the social stigma around that. We must understand whenever the social stigma gets melted or broken, that is when men will be forthcoming and giving the CVs for that kind of job prospectus. Next comes the conundrum, where panel talks on importance of men will be held in different schools, colleges, and even schools for certain age group, above age group, for example, 11, 12, because before that age group of 10, class 10, the students won't be understanding what kind of empathy is required, what kind of importance is required in that sort of social service. So schools, universities, even to the PhD students, they can also help us very much, because while doing the PhD work,
Guys,
sometimes.
the time is up. Can you wrap it in the 1 minute?
Sure, sure.
Please give me 2 minutes. Yeah, thank you. Next slide, please. So buzz media promoting social talks, for example, Satyamev Jayate. Here the person can come and talk about it. Leave your project. So we can offer 3 months, 6 months, or 1 year projects, live projects to the prospective students who can turn into a fellow employee. Helping hands. Almost most of the times, men don't know what kind of work is required for them to do in social work, what kind of empathy, as I said before, is required, what kind of work frame is required. So why not help them? Why not give them guidance while they are submitting their CV? Just for example, just like Boston Consult Group does, they give a peer-to-peer session to personals before they are having the interview. Similarly, and then understand men, create JDs based on the men's perspective. As I said, the hierarchy, the type of defined personality that is required, that will attract men very much. Thank you. Next slide. So this is the strategy to attract men in terms of social hierarchy. As we said, that a clear defined hierarchy in the social service too, just like other organizations, will help men to understand what, on which form or which platform, on which regards they want to join. For example, whether it's the social media, where it's the live project, whether it's the management type. So this is the where the men can help to join, or we can help men to join in the social service sector and men collar jobs. Next, please. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, judges, you can move forward with the questions, please.
So, first of all, I would say this presentation has good insights, good data facts, and some very good strategies as well. On the questions part, if you can navigate to the slide wherein you have presented the data points.
Yes. Yes.
So my question is, you have presented the data points, like 90% have no idea about the job prospects. They want to try a social service, work as a project.
Yes.
Now, what is the so what, or what is the insight coming out of these data points? I just want to know that, and how it connects to the strategies that you have proposed. Like, what's the flow between these data points and the suggestions you have come upon?
Yes, ma'am. So to explain that, I would like to say first that in our college, we have a program called Karma Yoga, whereby you have to visit to for social service cause, we visit schools, we visit to slums, help them educate. So when we were into the Karma Yoga first class, we didn't know what was happening with us, what we are going to do. So we felt that this might be the similar problem all over the world, not only India, all over the world, because people don't know how to cater to the social service sector. So with that mindset, we created a form whereby we went one-to-one the person. It was not through any LinkedIn or Facebook. We went to person to person and asked them. If we got the contact through social media, we contacted them via phone and asked them these questions directly to understand whereby their mentality is getting a problem in getting to the pink collar jobs. Because there are many organizations who provide very well-paid pink collar jobs, and social organization work is being accepted by the world media, by the world organizations, and this is also growing at a very rapid pace. So where is the problem that is lying? To understand that, we went through this survey one-to-one.
Yeah, I got that. So after the survey, there would be some like 2-3 key themes upon your mind. Okay, this is the conclusion of the survey, and because of this conclusion, we are suggesting so and so things, or 3 to 5 points. So I'm just asking, what were those key themes and how that connects to the suggestions you have commented?
Yes, ma'am. So first thing, the most important is the ice melting or the icebreaker session, that men or people don't know about what to do in social work. So that is why we created the Socio Men, Men in Pink, Some Purush, as I said. Then came the part whereby they wanted to go through any live projects or work on that. So we created a live project strategy whereby they were giving a 3 months, 6 months, or a 12 months live project, a flexible live project. For example, if the person is working on a social media platform for the CRY or any NGO, they can work after shift, after work shift, or at night, or anytime during the lunch session. if they want to go to the site visit, they go during Saturdays or Sundays or during Diwali holidays or during Durga Puja holidays, during any off time when they find time to go there. Please show that insight. 1 second, yes. Data. Data, yes. And there is the social service was not interested career wise, 80% of the men. So whereby we devised that the JD must be created in such a way that they will be understood and well analyzed by the main mental thinking. For example, the hierarchy structure, the points like you will be working with the financial team to create the efficiency in the system, or you'll be working with the live on the spot team to help them get better in their work by educating them, by getting, say, 2 schools or 3 schools have much better results in ICSC or CBSC or through the government board for the
God.
predefined sectors.
So maybe, what you could have done here, you could have very well showed what are the key themes from the quant findings and how these connects to the final solutions or final strategies we propose. So that, someone won't get lost, because I can see you know how you have done it, how it connects to the insights, but it's quite missing somewhere while you are presenting it.
Okay.
If you'll go on the first slide.
First one. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I just don't understand. You have described like you should have a good perceived image in the market, and the decision making process should look like what's the objective of doing it here? What's the point you're trying? What's the broad point you're trying to make?
So, ma'am, for decision-making processes, generally, what people, or I would say that candidates are not getting interacted to any organization is that if we don't help them to understand our vision and mission. Apart from that, let's say I have hired a candidate, but still I'm still having some doubt of benefit whether he or she would leave the firm within next 2 months or 3 months. Then in order to retain that employee, we should be involving him or her in some kind of decision-making processes as well at an organization level. Of course, he or she does not have any experience, might not have any experience, so we cannot put forward major decisions. But for small decisions, for example, when I was working for an NGO based out of Delhi, RS Samaj Shiksha NGO. So there, when I joined it was a kind of 2-month fellowship program. So when I joined it for 2 months program, after 1 month, to be honest, I was not that much interested in that work because of the daily routine work, which was kind of repetitive. But then I raised that question that if there's any other kind of work or any social service which I could do, which I could contribute it, and they assigned me some kind of decision-making process for the newly hired interns as well that time. And apart from that, I could make some small decisions as well about how, for example, how food can be provided to other NGOs, or how to raise funds from how to raise charity or funds from the local public, or how you can contribute food in terms of. So these kind of small decision process would definitely attract and retain employees, current employees as well.
God, while your thought process is clear, but maybe you could have presented in a way that one could understand. Okay, it's the objective why you're describing the decision-making process and how the perceived image helps. As a starting point. Okay, this is the broad point we're trying to make, and that's why. And here are the reasons why we are saying so. So
Sure.
It could have helped audience to understand it better.
Sure, definitely.
Overall, good stuff. Over to other judges.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, building upon Nandini's point, I guess it's absolutely fair to say that towards the end, it was getting a little bit difficult to, kind of structure or maintain the flow of the presentation, because somewhere, since a lot of points are being conveyed at the same time, it would have been a little bit more easier if you could have created links to, so that just for the sake of it, so for our understanding and understanding of everyone around here, we are able to properly identify the flow of the story. So coming on to the presentation itself, I really like the fact that you went the extra step and made a survey and had kind of presented the survey results as well. Also, it would have been much better though if you could have kind of given out some inferences here itself as to what, like Nandini stated here, that what were the inferences from the survey. So my question though is based on something which I feel was not covered very broadly. So there's a huge aspect when it comes to recruiting males is the incentivization, and by incentivization I mean the benefits that is offered towards working for an NGO. Primary concerns being some people do it out of their sheer motivation, their inspiration, which kind of kind of drives them to work for an NGO. But most of them would also be looking forward at a late stage of their life. They would also be looking forward to a suitable incentivization program.
Yes.
Could you please, if even if it's not mentioned in the presentation here, could you please just from the top of your mind share 2-3 points? How could you incentivize male force working here in this in the social sector? Let's say CRY, for example.
Yes, sir. So I would like to explain that we believe in equality for both men and women in work, because that is something that we cannot sacrifice just because we want men in the sector more. So the incentivize or the money that will be given will be equal for both men and women, and it will be decided on the basis of type of work they are doing and the importance of the work they are doing. For example, that is done by every organization. So accordingly, the money will be given. It is because of the sole reason that we discussed and didn't put any terms on financial planning or the finance or the money that will be given, because this will be equal and this will be based on normal HR terms for that every organization follows. Sir.
So,
Yes, yes.
yeah, I would like to add on to Shubham's point as well. So, as we have mentioned there, that if we can run some campaigns online on social media, so via that, if we let's say we can assign some tasks to both men and women, and we can run incentivized program within the organization where the top 3 candidates who perform well in creating more social campaigns, in creating or engaging with customers, or get more referrals in the employees, then they will be getting incentivized, let's say 1,000 per man or woman who is getting hired, like that. So that way we can incentivize both men and women. Particularly if I talk about men in CRY's organization, then we can run some program within the organization. For example, we can run some competitions as well, where they not small competitions or common competitions like brain teasers, but we can run competitions where they can put forward their views, or they can conduct survey within their families and friends, and then we can somehow we can qualitatively or quantitatively measure the awareness of the NGO success or NGO's impact in the world, and that way we can incentivize the best employees in the organization.
Okay. So just to clarify, by incentivization, it's not just about monetary benefits or
Right.
anything. That's not
Right.
what I'm trying to
Right.
say here.
Right.
By incentivization, I usually mean like looking at ideas which would pull a person who is generally not aware, not involved in social workings and everything, to get into the social workforce, to volunteer. I'm not saying about the full-time job aspect as well, where he'll be paid, to volunteer, to so the question broadly comes up, and it's not addressed to any gender here, as to how would you incentivize social service and CRY based on the survey results that you have kind of gathered. How would you incentivize the workforce to increase participation, get more people volunteer for social service, and how can you create a link between the strategies that you have mentioned here? How can you kind of associate them? You may take some time to think as well.
Yes, sir. So I would like to explain, sir, as we said that some most of the men that they want some kind of life projects to know about the social work, and accordingly we have devised a strategy whereby we'll be giving them life project from schools, colleges, and even universities. So this is the kind of incentivization or kind of, I think, clarification of the mindset that we are targeting of the men, so that right from the young age they get to understand that the social media work, or sorry, the social work is also similar to any kind of job that is available, if they are happy in that kind of work, if they are well satisfied with the money they are getting, if they are happy after the kind of job they are doing, and if they are given the same kind of prestige and honor that all other kind of jobs get. And for that we need to start right from the beginning, and hence we are giving those live projects 3 months, 6 months, and 12 months, so that it's suitable for any kind of person who want to join, and it will be flexible. As I said, that if he or she works in social media, they can do it anytime during the day. If she wants to visit the site, they can visit during Saturday, Sunday, or any public holidays.
And to add on to Shubham's point as well, we can collaborate with universities, colleges, and schools as well, because we have identified and as we know that youngsters are the major population who are attractive more towards working for an NGO. So we can definitely connect with schools, colleges, and can have webinars or campaigns or seminars within the school. It would be more beneficial if we could conduct it in a physical way rather than it in a virtual way, so that we could identify what are the concerns of the current target addressable market, whether they currently are aware of it or not, and if they are not, or whether they are, then we can definitely put forward our campaign, or I would say a physical seminar or webinar, and then can conduct via using those seminars, we can attract men or male candidates from those universities, colleges, and schools as well.
Okay. All right. That's fine. Just one final question. Could you go to the next slide? Okay, then the previous one where you were trying to give examples of men in the social service.
Yes, yes.
So this is where I'd just like your viewpoint here. Since I think to some extent, maybe some people might disagree with me here, but Ratan Tata, Manmohan Singh, these are the kind of people who have been involved in the foundation of, kind of setting up social services. But when we talk about involvement in social services, we generally refer to people who will be on ground executing the strategies.
Yes.
So
yes.
since you have mentioned you want to advertise people like Ratan Tata, Manmohan Singh, do you believe, like since I'm raising this point right now, would you believe that would be the right way to advertise men in the workforce? Would you like to take examples of these people, or someone who is actually on ground executing policies, more famous for doing hands-on implementation, working very coherently with people, governments, and initiatives in India?
Sir, I would say that we can utilize both of them because we know that Sir Ratan Tata and Mr. Manmohan Singh, both of them are very well renowned personalities in India, and there are many other as well. I also agree with your viewpoint as well that those who are working on ground level, such as labor or low class workers, those are actually working, and those are like we can use them as well via advertising as well. So we would suggest them that we can utilize both of them by our campaigns, because the main concern is there is the stigma, or the I would say the stereotype which has been always there in the mentality of a male, that this is a kind of a pink collar job and we should not do it for an NGO or similar kind of organization. But at the same time, I would say half of the population does believe in these renowned personalities, and half of the population does believe in the ground level workers as well. So if we could create a campaign or TV commercial or advertisement or a small video as well, in which we are combining both of them, and then creating a strategically, I would say, advertisement in that way, that it would attract both the target potential market. So that's what we would definitely like to suggest, that we should utilize both of them.
Sure. That makes sense. All right, that'll be all from my side. Great presentation, guys. Thank you.
Yep, I think very comprehensive. Could have worked a little bit on the structure, I think, but a lot of ideas that you wanted to present came out very well. In terms of questions, I think Ishan and Nandini already covered most of the things that I would have wanted to ask. So I think I'm good on that, but good presentation.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Team Avengers, for a presentation. Now, before we move on to the next case study, I would like to remind all the team that you have the time limit of 10 minutes for presenting your solutions. So now let's move on to the second case study. I would like to introduce you to the Akshaya Patra Foundation. The Akshaya Patra Foundation strives to eliminate classroom hunger by implementing the midday meals program. It provides nutritious meals to children studying in government schools and government aided schools. The foundation also aims to counter malnutrition and support rights to education of children hailing from socio-economically challenging backgrounds. Now, I would like Time Phoenix Rejects to come forward and present their solutions. Team Phoenix Rejects.
Chairman, move with the next team.
Okay. So moving forward, Team Pocket Aces, please share your screen and come forward with your solution.
Hi Chinmay, we actually need 5 minutes because our team is not available at the moment and our presentation was scheduled later.
Okay. So, so we will move on to the final case studies first, if they're available. Jatin, are they available are they in the meet right now?
Do we have Team Army ants right now?
Yes, we are here in the meet.
Okay. So I think let's move on with the final case study first. So for this, I would like to introduce the NGO Save the Children. Although Save the Children had been working from the 1940s, they formally came into existence in April 2008. Since then, it has served around 14 million children across 18 states through several community-driven projects. They have run campaigns such as Every Last Child, The Invisibles, Vote for Children, and many more, which aim for the welfare of the underprivileged children. I would now like to call Team Army and you can share your screen and start with the presentation.
Yes, just a second. Riya, please present the screen.
Yeah, 1 minute.
So I hope the screen is visible to everyone. So shall we start?
Yeah, it's visible.
Okay, so greetings everyone. So today we, Team Army Ants from Shahid Sukhdev College of Business Studies, will present our analysis on the case and the solutions we have derived after taking into consideration multiple factors. So first of all, coming to the first slide. Yes. So here we have suggested various methods that can be used to bring children-induced policy change at the district level. The first method revolves around the induction of a student-run consulting body. The entire idea has to be supplemented with government aid. Government should offer financial and non-financial incentives to student-run consultancy organizations and therefore can aid in growth and expansion plans of the NGO. The entire process can have twofold effects on the overall idea. Firstly, the benefits of undertaking responsibility, wherein it gives a student-run body the chance to have a say in the choices that are made at the local or even district level and to feel more connected to their community. And on the other hand, it will ensure the must be the succession of social service motive as the motive of social service to be successful if it has the support of a student-run consulting firm that can handle the right problems at the right time. The next way that could be implemented is through the collaboration with various social incubators and startups, as well as social entrepreneurship societies like Enactors, Rotaract, NSS, Action India, etc. The steps involved would be somewhat as follows, I would say. First of all, children of the foundation collaborate closely with the members of the community and aid them in reaching their objectives. Then the children from the foundation work on the duties assigned to them using their knowledge and skill sets, while society members provide insightful input on the work completed. Reports are then issued by the organization on the work completed by the kids during their collaboration, etc. The entire process will help in the evaluation of social reconstruction made and analyzing the skills developed by the students. The last two approaches are stated are related to somewhat competitions and internships. The former deals with organizing an event with government support in the form of grants and other benefits to assess analytical and problem-solving abilities using actual instances, and the later revolves around laying the groundwork for children to gain knowledge of their communities as well as getting the much-needed improvement in health and nutrition, as well as I would say getting recognition for the impact. Can you the next slide, please? Yes. So coming to the next slide, here we have focused on providing potential solutions for change in policies for nutrition. Coming first, we have suggested a multi-factor approach to nutrition. It is a known fact that although agriculture plays a crucial role in ensuring the availability of nutrition-dense meals, present agricultural policies are not nutrition conscious. Therefore, even though policies are implemented in separate areas, at the family level, food availability, healthcare, empowerment, and nutrition should be connected. Getting the help of nutrition educators as well as government contribution can also help in the same direction. We also propose the creation of an online dashboard having the information about regular progress in the health and nutrition of the children containing parameters such as anthropometric indices. Finally, a significant leap towards women empowerment in this regard has been suggested as they are the primary caregivers who can affect the overall nutritional choices of the children. Next slide, please. Yes, so coming on to how SPC can improve government policies on primary education, we believe there are four major areas where change can be made. First of all, I would say it somewhat revolves around the use of technology. It might sound basic, but use of apps such as Google Classroom, Microsoft Teams, MOOC can familiarize children with what to expect in the future. Second one is related to knowledge brokerage agencies. It should be encouraged in India as well as it's been adopted in many foreign countries, and content should be somewhat related to primary students. Uh, the third one is experiential learning. According to a report by Oxford University, about around 46 to 47% of occupations will disappear in the next 18 to 20 years, and higher retention rate has also been observed from various surveys conducted. The last one is inculcate the use of innovation and creativity. By implementing this, by using, for example, government-created research networks, students would be compelled to use a higher level of thinking to solve complex problems. We are going to carry on with the next slide.
Yeah. So moving on to the next problem, we have the problem of most effective and monetarily efficient way to raise awareness regarding government policies among children, parents, teachers across India. So first of all, this can be done by running knowledge drives. So the main motive of this knowledge drive would be to increase awareness about the government policies. So what Save the Children can do is it can run ads on social media platforms to onboard more volunteers and interns, and it can also call upon the existing volunteers, and then it can move on preparing a list of all the interested volunteers and interns who are ready to give their contribution to the society. Now, when they have the list of the volunteers and interns, they can make a volunteer awareness session. This would be informative sessions where the people of the NGO will be teaching these interns and volunteers about the various government policies. Once they are aware about the various government policies, they will be training the volunteers to conduct sessions and teach other people. Now, once this training is completed, this volunteers and interns would be reaching out to all nearby private and government colleges, schools, or localities, and then it can seek permission from them to conduct awareness sessions. So once it receives permission from the school or the college or the locality to conduct session, it can schedule a knowledge sharing session there. This session would be of 1 to 2 hours based on the recent government policies which might have been introduced, and the medium would be a presentation or a speech, whichever is feasible. And the language of the session would be vernacular so that it can be more understandable to even those people who are not very well versed with English. And after the end of the session, there will be a dedicated question and answer round where the children and even teachers and parents who are a part of this session at that time can ask their questions and get their queries clarified. Now, after the completion of this session, we will be sharing questionnaires to the children, to the parents, and the teachers. Now they will be filling the questionnaires. Based upon the results of the questionnaires, we'll get to know if the session was informative enough for them and what sort of improvements can we make. Also, since we need to spread this awareness across India, so if there are colleges or schools which are not in our vicinity, which cannot be dealt offline, we can reach out to them through online modes, and we can conduct sessions there through online platforms such as Google Meets, Zoom calls, etc. Now, moving on to the second step, we know that we have already conducted sessions. Now, in those schools, colleges, or localities where we have already conducted session, we can move ahead with conducting competitions such as poster making competition or slogan writing or drawing competition or even essay writing or speeches. Now, all of these competitions will have their topic, which will be based on the various government policies. Now, when these children will have to make such policy make such competitions, so they'll have a better understanding of the policies, and they will be given rewards which will keep them motivated. Now, moving ahead, we have partnership with the news platforms and media platforms. We know that newspapers and news platforms provide a biggest network to circulate any news. So we can reach out to these platforms and request them to publish articles or even send them our articles to be published. We can also use a social media posts. We should be active on our social media platforms and make regular informative posts on or reels whenever a new government policy is introduced. Since children read magazines, so we can get in touch with this children magazines, and through illustrations or stories, through puzzles or quizzes, we can try to bring out the crux of the policies. Now, this is a bit, Save the Children can also look into publishing its own quarterly or even semi-annually magazines containing these policies. Now, this can be a little far-fetched, but it can also collaborate with various YouTube channels such as Abhiyanyu or Dhuvrati or etc. Since they have huge population or huge audience, they can spread a lot of awareness about these. Moving on to the last problem, that is participation in programs and feedback mechanism. So here you can see that we can actually get in collaboration with the local government bodies. So the student-run consulting bodies can collaborate with local government, not collaborate, or maybe get into a network with the local government bodies. So whatever insights it will be getting from the NGOs, it can pass on that insights to the local government bodies. Along with that, we can conduct field trips for the children to the local government bodies so that they get an experience of how things are done. Along with that, children can also be a part of teaching in shelter homes or visit blind and old age homes. Through these trips, they can act as a catalyst for change. They can understand the problems and give relevant feedbacks. Now we have already operated in few schools, so we can also get in touch with the student of those schools and take their feedbacks. Along with that, NGO can circulate various feedback forms on a timely basis, and based on the responses of the feedback forms, it can actually make a report and send it to the various departments in at district or the state government level. These departments will view these feedback forms which are from the children, and they can then incorporate those changes or those strategies in their policies. That is all. Thank you.
Judges, you can move forward with the questions.
Yeah, first of all, good stuff, guys. Great ideas. So, like you said in the the last slide, that you have some existing tie-ups with the schools, some institutes that can be leveraged for the feedback mechanism. So, on the same lines, I would like to understand, as you were discussing about the child primary education, the nutrition. So, do we know where does the NGO Save the Children stand currently in terms of the child nutrition and the primary education, so that we can know where we are here and we want to reach here, and here are the steps we need to take additionally to reach the goal. So, have we done that kind of analysis?
So based on what I have researched, I saw that Save the Children is operating in not many states. It is operating in, I guess, 4 or 5 states. So like I listed, in the states where it is already operating, it can do offline sessions or such awareness campaigns. But in other states where it is not currently operating, it can be dealt online. And also based on the nutrition, if I talk about nutrition, so Save the Children do have campaigns where it is trying to provide enough nutrition to the children. But yes, we do not have any statistical data regarding it.
Adding to it, just to point the states in which the SCC have been operating, the network that has been created by the organization between various schools is appreciable. Regular feedback for mechanisms, regular healthcare campaigns, regular training campaigns are being conducted by the organization. There is just a need to make them more compatible with overall efforts of the organization, so that the ultimate goal of the organization can be reached in a timely and more accurate manner. After this, I would say there's a need to spread the reach of the organization in different states. Social media platforms and other things which you have mentioned, like newspaper, magazines, can be a good source for this.
Okay. And, on the problem that currently there people are not much aware about, the government policies among the children, parents, how the government policies are supportive. Do we have any data around, like, what percentage of underprivileged people in the country know about these government policies? And, if they know about these government policies, is there any barrier in taking the benefit out of these government policies? Are there any red tapeism issue or something like that. So have you collected any data on that to know where do we stand currently?
Right. So for this matter of fact, I would divide the population into two classes. First of all, the need of for NGOs has been like prevalent to those classes which are not that privileged. About it is known that about 22% of our population still lives below the poverty line, and to educate them to come to these aspects, to come to these NGOs for seeking a decent help, is much needed. So there would be different kinds of operation for different level of classes. Right. So for rich and medium upper middle classes, suitable marketing platforms like social media, again I'm saying like Twitter, Instagram, since they are more active in that platform, and we are also more active in those platforms, so we have been somewhat successful in capturing these group of people. Coming to those people who do not have any like idea about what's going on in this particular industry, needs to be tapped much more, I would say, enthusiastically. And like in the later class, I would say we need to we currently have not met our standards, and we need to buckle up.
Okay, okay. On the same theme, you have suggested some of the ways how can you increase the awareness about the government policies, etc. But as you rightly mentioned, that it would depend upon whom we are targeting. So, like 22% of the people are below poverty line. There are further micro segments if we talk about the target segments from the NGO's perspective. And the marketing strategies, the awareness policies should be different for each of the segments. So if we look at the suggestion that you have come up with for increasing the for increasing the awareness about government policies, so have you done any segmentation like these kind of initiatives would work for these set of people, and these kind of initiatives would work for another set of people to make it more
Yes.
specific?
Yeah. So I have listed that vernacular language thing. So basically, we know that not every children or people or teachers are well versed in English, and especially in rural areas, this is a main problem. And also listed presentation and speeches. So whenever we go to a rural area or go to a school or college at a rural area where people are not very well versed in English, we can use vernacular language there. Maybe it's Gujarati or maybe it's Hindi, so that they understand it. Also, when when I listed presentation and speech, so it might be possible that in those areas technology isn't very prevalent, and we might not be able to use presentations there. So there what we can do is we can only take help of the speeches, or even maybe we can have photographs or such visual mediums through which we can make them understand. So that would be the thing. And to those schools or those classes who are already well educated, we can go there and have it in a full-fledged presentation manner with proper English or proper Q&A, so that they can understand it better.
Just want to add a point. For those people who are less privileged, a personal selling sort of marketing strategy could be used. Like we have already mentioned that we would hire volunteers. They would be working for us. They would get trained by nutrition educators. So these volunteers would be going in villages, like interacting with all these people, making them aware of what exactly the organization is doing and how it will help them in their day-to-day aspects. It would be like beneficial for these class of people.
Got it. Now, if you come on the second slide, second or third, there was an online dashboard that you suggested can be used to combat the nutrition related problem. So, from a practicality perspective, like, do you have any idea upon your mind how you're going to implement it, how it's going to add value to the people life?
Right. So as it is seen, like the trend of fitness has been like becoming more and more prevalent in urban dwellers. Many fitness institutions, many gyms have been like providing to their customers this sort of services to like so that all these people can track a record of where they are standing, where their health and nutrition is trending. So with the help of those institutions, with the help of those people, we can also create some sort of these dashboards which will have the data of our students, which will have the data of our children, and can ultimately help like there will be a vast number of children we need to like inculcate in our organization, and having such online models, having such online dashboards can help to like bring everyone on an equal scale.
Yeah, so I would like to add on how this will function. So basically, you imagine that there is a student called Tarini, whom we are providing nutrition. So there will be a monthly calendar on the dashboard. So we will be marking the dates on which we have actually provided them nutrition, or maybe provided with certain amount of staples to them. Also, we will have a matrix of like how many staples or what quantity of staples we have provided, or what is the nutrition level which is provided by that. And we will also have volunteers who will be taking care of these dashboards. So the volunteers who will be managing the most number of dashboards will be considered as the volunteer of the month. Along with that, in this particular dashboards, it can be a bit difficult, but we can also try that if some children is facing some health issue, or there is some problem associated with them, we can also list that on the dashboard, so that the next time we provide them with any nutrition, we tend to take into consideration of what are their needs. So this is how we feel we would be working on these dashboards. Also, this requires a bit more ideation and innovation, and that is something we'll be looking upon.
Got it. Clear. That's it from my side. Good presentation, guys.
Thank you.
I think great presentation, guys. Very structured, a lot of ideas throughout. I think the dashboard also fits in the larger schemes of things in terms of maybe a little bit more ideation, but I think could work eventually. Just a quick feedback point also later on when you mentioned that you'll be onboarding interns and volunteers. Then you've directly mentioned that all the interested participants, you'll create a list, right? Prepare a list of interested volunteers and interns. I think a little bit more of say context as to what will go behind that. How will those people be selected? I think that would have been helpful. So just preparing a list seems a little say directly just mentioning that is what you'll do.
Yeah, so since we were actually presenting it here, so I cut short it. So basically, it means that whenever we'll be onboarding volunteers and interns, since we will be going on providing sessions to different colleges and schools, I feel not every volunteer or intern would be interested in doing it. So whenever we onboard people, we need to ask them or let them know that these are sort of work. Will you be interested in doing it? Because we know offline campaigns will also be there. They'll be going to offline schools and giving sessions there. So we will be then knowing that these are the particular interns or volunteers who are actually willing to do it, and then we'll be preparing a list of all those interested students, and then we'll be further giving them sessions.
Good. Makes sense. I think again, isn't a one-way street, needs to be two-way, wherein we'll gauge their interest also, but also there'll be some evaluation points from us.
Yeah, also those who are not a part of these, they can be put to other works of the NGO, since NGO is not doing one single thing. Yeah.
Okay, makes sense. Just one question I had. Can we go to the last slide?
Yes, one.
Yeah. Ye wala. I'm not sure if I'm missing out on something. So when the question states how would you involve children more in these policy making aspects, right? How can they also contribute in policy making? The only suggestion that I could see was promotion of the feedback mechanism. Is there anything else that you're doing so that say children are able to impact these policies directly? Again, because I see if Enactus or NSS was the answer, I don't think so. They also implement or affect the policies that government or any state bodies make directly, right? So
yeah, actually, it was in the first slide. All these things you're talking about, it was in the first slide. Which Sagriya, can you go to the first slide? I will be mentioning all the aspects. Yeah, so here we have suggested certain methods so that to inculcate children in the policy making of the country. So apart from student consulting bodies, which has to be a very good initiative by the organization, as it will form a group of students who would deal with the practical problems. The organization would work as an intermediary between government and these groups. So all the practical problems that the government is facing, a short draft of that can be given to the students. They will work day and night and into all these policies and forming appropriate solutions that can be relevant in the practical life.
Got it. Sorry to cut you short. Just wanted to understand, what are these consulting bodies? Are these actual consulting organizations
No.
Or are these student-run bodies?
Yeah, they are student-run bodies who will be working for who will be consulting the day-to-day problems which are related to day-to-day operations of the government. For example, 180 Degrees Consulting is a very good example of this. This is the student-run bodies who collaborate with various startups who get a full-on view of what problems the startups are facing and provide them a particular pitch deck regarding to their particular problem. Okay. Apart from that, we from student consulting bodies, we will also organize various competitions in which, since our new education policy also focuses more on the practical and vocational knowledge which has been inculcated in various Western European countries and American countries, and that's the like one of the foremost reason why these countries are developed. So we also need to like make use of all such things, with all such policies in our education system also. Competitions can be organized, events can be organized where government volunteers can be there for judging what the accuracy of solutions like are they can be applied in the real life also. They would be getting they will be providing feedback to students so that they like so as to ensure the students are growing day by day.
Got it.
I
So,
would like to add one more thing. Like, if I move on to the last slide, the participation thing, you can see that I have written that there can be field visits to local governments or to various NGOs, and they can also, go and teach in shelter homes or orphanages, or they can visit blind homes or even old homes. So all of these experience will actually help these children to get an insight into what is actually happening, and only based on these experiences will they be able to be a better participant in the designing of the programs. Since if we don't know about stuff, we will not be able to give a proper feedback or participate in it. But if we get a practical knowledge about it, we'll be able to more give our give good feedback and suggestions regarding it.
got it. Okay, I think it makes sense wherein you're trying to develop a mechanism again so that those student-run bodies are connected with the government. Okay. Cool, yeah, pretty good presentation.
Yeah, hi, guys. Thanks for the presentation. A couple of feedback points from me before we proceed to my questions. It's a very detailed slide, and I like the way a lot of information has been presented. Just one personal aspect here would be that since there's a lot of information in the slide, sometimes it gets a little bit difficult to make sense where is the flow of the presentation. So maybe having some pointers or kind of restructuring, reformatting this presentation in a way would make it much more simpler for someone, for example, who just wants to revisit the presentation, having a glance at the slides would make much more simpler for him to understand. I have a couple of questions, although this may not be exact similar questions, but like I'd like to understand, correct me if I'm wrong here. The problem statement that was shared, like, can we go to the last slide?
Yeah, good.
Okay. Yeah. So the problem statement shared, the last question, which as from what I can recollect, stated that what all feedback mechanisms can be implemented at the state level. So to my understanding, a state, I would rather mean at the government level, government, municipality, district, like that kind of a thing. That's what I understand by the state. But here in your suggestions, I am seeing primary schools, civic bodies. Can you please elaborate
Yeah,
as to what were you
yeah.
thinking about here?
So when we read the problem statement, we thought that what feedbacks we would give so that the state government would incorporate it. And that is why I mentioned that the feedback forms, whatever the suggestions would be enlisted in the feedback forms, the NGOs can make a report of it and then send it to the district level or the state level departments so that they can work upon it. So that was my understanding of the problem statement, that we need to make the changes at the state level, and for which we are as an individual or as an organization are trying to get the feedback of the children, and then we are putting together all those feedback and then reaching out to the district or state level body so that they can take that into consideration when forming the next policies.
That's why we suggested that we'll be initiating at a very micro level, approaching to schools and civic bodies so that we can get an appropriate and accurate feedbacks of the students, and then we can carry forward them, carry like hand on into the government and state bodies.
Okay. I guess there was some misunderstanding. I mean, you guys might have taken it the other way around, because when I read the problem statement, I was of the opinion that it's being asked what policies can be generally derived at the state level to kind of increase participation. My next question is on the dashboard that you presented. Could you please go on to that slide? Okay, so coming on to this online dashboard, so this is, you're saying that the stakeholder here would be Save the Children. They are involved with creating, developing this dashboard. Am I correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. So a couple of things that I would like to know here is the first thing that, as you understand, like since if you're trying to implement this at a grassroots level, To my understanding, this dashboard is based on whatever data has been collected, and based on analytics which will be presented in the dashboard, you can kind of make informed decisions. But if we go to the dashboard grassroots level, whereas let's say Anganwadis and everywhere, where you understand, right? There's not a lot of electronic systems involved, but we want to reach out to those people. We want to make sure involved that they are getting the right nutrition. And most of our government policies are focused on the Anganwadis itself, where at the grassroots level, at the village level, how can we improve the quality of life for children there? Do you believe a very electronic incentivized system like a dashboard will be feasible for that situation? And if it is feasible, can you kind of give me an idea as to how would you implement it?
Yes, sir. So if I talk about at the grassroots level, for those people who are at a very grassroots level or a rural areas people, so basically there also I feel it is very important to keep a record of all the children we are providing nutrition to, or keep a record of the volunteers we have. So I, through this dashboard, I don't mean that we need to create an app or a very well-fleshed dashboard. We can also make use of very simple tools like Google Sheets or even Excel. So instead of writing or noting down the names in those registers, we can actually put all these in these Google Sheets. We can have different sheets for different individuals, and there we can list down the dates on which the nutrition has to be provided. This was just a sample of it, but it can be, I feel, incorporated at a grassroots level, because what we were doing there is just, instead of having it on those registers or in pen paper, we are actually including technology. And as we know, even in the rural areas, now everything is taking place online. So I feel it would be great to switch onto a platform like Google Sheet or Excel, where we can have these records rather than having it in registers.
And how can it be implemented in the grassroots level depends on the reach of our volunteers, reach on our interns. That's where we are continuously saying that we need to hire these interns. We need to inculcate more volunteers so that they can reach out to small villages. They can make people aware about the functioning of such sheets, the functioning of the softwares, and to have a proper systematic place for all such sheets. We can collaborate with volunteers who have some IT expertise, who have some technology expertise, so that they can develop an entire software where as to submit all such sheets, and we can efficiently and effectively make use of such.
And also, if we make these records in Excel, so we can also make use of tools like pivot tables, etc., to get the inferences quickly. And if we are doing it in pen and paper, it would be very difficult for us to make right inferences. We'll have to put in more efforts than we can actually do.
Data handling will be much more efficient with the use of technology.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fair enough. All right, thanks, guys.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you, Team Armian, for your presentation. Now, I would like to call upon Team Confusement Trio. You can share your screen and start with the presentation. And I will also like to mention to the judges, like we are running a little overtime, so if you can reduce the number of questions.
I hope that we are audible. Hello? We're audible, right?
Yeah, you are audible.
Yeah. All right, great. Malika. At 30 member Malika, is that? Yeah, great. So here we begin. The best public policy is made when you are listening to the people who are going to be impacted. As one of the target groups that is often overlooked yet has huge potential, children are a critical component of any policy. In short, as our NGO puts it, that is Save the Children puts it, children should not just survive, but thrive. A very good evening, everyone. We are the Team Confusement Trio. I am Rachel Patra. I am Rachel Elsazu.
And I'm Malika Mandal. And we're honored to be here in the finals of the Social Conundrum.
Our case addresses the problem statements which is put forward by the NGO Save the Children.
Right. So to start with the first problem statement, in a survey conducted in Delhi in 2018 that tried to find out the awareness levels of people about social welfare schemes, as you can see presented in the slide, From among the sample of people that was taken, about 86.9% of the participants were aware of at least one social welfare scheme, but around 42.2% of the participants were actually utilizing those social welfare schemes. And as you can see, females utilize use of social welfare schemes almost twice as compared to males. Now, the point of this brings us back to the fact that the necessity to develop an awareness raising strategy. So here we have basically a few ideas, as in we have like what are things that we need to look at to raise awareness basically. So such as the goal to be addressed here includes raising awareness about government policies among children, parents, teachers, etc. Right. So the objectives would be to basically let people know of what schemes that exist and etc. So our presentation actually targets mostly on the student group. So and then we can work on the messages, methods, and evaluation plans, etc. to promote the ideas behind this initiative. Basically, the major point is to gain mass attention, right? So this can be done by working on certain ideas, such as presented on the slide, educational resources, thematic discussions, such as workshops, conferences, etc. Utilizing radio, especially in the rural areas. Then taking the creative approach and providing stuff like documentary films, etc. Other than, of course, networking and tapping, say, theater groups, troops, etc. for disseminating information. And the biggest work step is to have heavy media usage for increasing implementation, such as apps like Facebook, Twitter, WhatsApp, Instagram, of course, and tap into the networks that are provided through these platforms instead of just taking the physical poster approach, etc. And have this sort of a have this sort of a complaint redressal form system, so, say through a website, say to get an idea where people wish to have development of sorts. So yes, moving on.
Yeah, so before diving and analyzing the current policies and the improvements that are required, we'll just quickly look at some of the numbers that show where the education sector is in India. And while it has improved over the years, it's not at its best even yet as compared to the growing population or the size of the population of the children in our country. Some of these numbers also indicate how there exists a strong correlation between food insecurity and poor cognitive performance, and hence an immediate need to redress this malnutritional problem that exists in a country like India, where there is a large chunk of the population that are children. Many of the existing policies have problems ranging from time-consuming administrative processes to insufficient budget allocations for the proposed projects, which in turn make it a not so efficient implementation of the canteen personnel not really have the required knowledge about nutritional quotients that should be distributed among children, which is again a big downside to the existing policies. Now, in order to give solutions or suggestions, we focused on understanding what other countries are doing right, and this is a very essential understanding that I believe we need to have as giving solutions. So what we have proposed to do is take suggestions from other countries' policies and try to culturally adapt them and implement them in our country. So for example, I know that everyone here must have heard about the Finnish education system, one of the best education system in the world, hands down, brings forth the most smartest minds, not just in terms of knowledge, but in terms of keeping in mind their mental health in itself. So, I mean, these are very important contributions that education should do or invest in children of today. Like, what all are we focusing on? But I think something that the Indian education system lacks strongly is the need for a liberal adult education. And you must be thinking why I'm giving the suggestion for children. But the truth is that we have throughout our education system being, pushed into this bookish education. But instead, if we have something like a practical subject that gives us about the basics of, how adult life is, or like how, practical life is, I think that would be something so much more beneficial. And that's something we'd like to take as an inspiration from the Finnish education system. And the second one is the National Plan of Action for Nutrition, taken from, again, Bangladesh, where they have combated on multiple social themes, be it from adapting local food, using that, to market, because like we said, at the core, we're talking about Anganwadis and everything. So adapting, local food, diet diversification, and focusing on, prioritizing identification of nutritionally vulnerable age groups within children, again, were some of the core themes of this particular nutritional plan implemented in Bangladesh, which could be modified and used again in India. Moving on.
Now to come to ways in which children can organize themselves to participate in community programs, so to say. This is a broad outline as in the form of a few steps, such as the promotion of the student prefect clubs at schools, etc. To basically, the idea would be to create a sort of impact to promote the development of prefect clubs. The idea would be to give the children the autonomy to actually look at the community and come up with ideas and events on their own and carry them out, which will help both in the community building program as well as promoting leadership ideas among the students. The next idea would be to promote the organization of events such as youth parliaments, etc., to bring the focus back on policy in terms of helping out the community, extending existing policies, etc. Then promotion of regular field trips in parts of the community, again, to let the children actually see the socioeconomic conditions in different areas of the district and or state, and really gauge an idea on how they can help out with the development. Finally, a throwback to my initial slide, organizing social media campaigns to create online forums where for student discussions, starting Twitter, Reddit threads, etc., making ideas and mass communication viral on society community development as a whole, sort of. So moving on.
So the involvement of children in policy making is essential to involve their views and interests on a first-hand basis rather than just relying on adults to express their views for them. Although our solution doesn't totally neglect the role of responsible adults when making decisions, what we are proposing, keeping in mind the United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child, is that children and young people should be provided an encouraging and safe environment to communicate their opinions, take responsibility, and make decisions. Our strategy to enhance child participation in policy formulation focuses on three core values and approaches: consistency, engagement, and impact. This Venn diagram here to your left
Guys,
encapsulates...
time's up. I would like you to wrap up in 1 minute.
Yeah, sure. So the key takeaways from this includes the fact that engagement of children should not be a namesake process, but it should be, something which involves them at all levels. Secondly, the improvisation and the formulation process should be beneficial for those at both ends of the table, those who make the policy as well as those who enjoy it. And finally, those involved in the process should be trained to deal with children at all levels. Now, over to a feedback mechanism, which you can see on the right. It adopts a top-to-bottom approach. So for this, we are focusing on the district, state, and the national levels, which the mechanism has been clearly indicated in this pyramid right here. So with that, we have come to the end of our presentation. Hope that our insights have added value to the discussion. Thank you. Now we'll go over to questions.
Judges, do you have any questions for the team?
I think I'll just go first. Great presentation, guys. Just a couple of feedback first. In your first slide, can you go back? Can you go to the first slide? Yeah. So essentially, since I think, as to my information, the problem statement involved awareness strategies and awareness programs for for parents, children, and teachers. So I would rather, would prefer if you were able to break down your feedback for parents, children, and teachers in the same slide itself, so that it kind of makes sense it improves readability, and at the same time you might even come up with some specialized suggestions which might add more value. Coming on to the question front, I don't think I have any questions or of such, so I'll just pass on to the other team, the judges.
Yeah, first of all, guys, very good presentation, good stuff. On the questions part, if we'll come on the last slide, which discusses about how you can participate in the community program at different levels. So I like the ideas that you have come upon, but for these ideas, again, like from a practicality perspective, have you done any research? What has worked in the past, and what is the feasibility of carrying out these ideas And what are the expected results you see once you implement these district level, state level, and the national level mechanism for the feedback?
Ma'am, so thank you for the question. So the suggestions that have been included here have taken inspiration from the existing policies which have proven to have social impact in India. Say, for example, the example of giving awards and scholarships to children at the state level. So this actually we got the inspiration from the Swachh Bharat scheme. So although the award was given at the national level, we feel that since children it's a bit more focused group which we are looking at, we felt that it's better to do it at the state level. But we took inspiration from policies like that because it gives a sense of achievement when you feel that okay, you have included them in the process in any way. So although that was done keeping in mind the aim of cleanliness, here we are talking about involving children. So when here also you can see that the type of reward that we are giving, it is not something which is generically given, but something which is very specific to the child population.
Target group.
Yes. So we have taken inspiration from policies like that, and even collecting children's opinion annually. The third point which has been mentioned in the district level. So that is something which is done in India for other purposes as well. We do conduct surveys as a part of the census, as to know the health statistics as it is done by the National Health Ministry and all. So these are things which have already been successfully implemented in the system. What we are trying to do is to make it more specific to the child community in such a way, like I mentioned, that we involve people at both ends of the table. That is those who are involved in the policy making and those who enjoy the benefits of it. So
got it. Yeah, that's all from my side. Over to Yash.
Thank you.
Great presentation, guys. I think a lot of things that I was looking for in community ideas, those were very well presented. I think those youth parliaments, prefect, I think these are very beginning stages of leadership positions. Just one feedback. I think the verbosity of the presentation in the initial slides is a lot. In terms of a lot of content, a lot of words, but the insights lack in those terms, right? But again, overall, the ideas are very well structured in those terms. Just a very quick question. In this particular slide, district level wale mein, when you talk about networking lunches for children on Sundays, how do you propose that? What is the set of these children? Because again, you can't take everyone for networking lunches. And secondly, how do you even explain this concept to them? Just a small question on that.
So this particular, just like I mentioned earlier, we have taken inspiration from the existing policy. So it is, time proven policy in the case of India, the midday meal scheme, which was implemented in the case of schools. So that provided motivation to a lot of kids who actually wanted to go to schools, but couldn't because, they weren't able to afford their meals. So usually, if when we think about it from the practical point of view, the midday meal scheme would cover all the days except for Sundays, because Sundays are holiday, kids wouldn't go to school. So that's one day they don't receive, a guaranteed meal per se. But if we try to implement this suggestion right over here, it would ensure that kids participate in the process, as well as that they and if we are able to engage them in the right way, we can consistently do this. Not just just attracting the crowd in the name of food, but it continues on a long-term basis, because they realize that they are also benefiting from this system. It's not just about the food, but there's always it's human psychology. When you feel that you contribute something and you see it actually happening before you see it being implemented at various levels, there's a sense of achievement, a sense of belongingness that comes. So automatically the civic sense in the children will also improve along that lines. So that was also kept in mind while making this feedback mechanism right here.
Got it. I think the engagement aspect comes out, and also that the idea is also to promote the enrollment numbers. Great. Got it.
Thank you. Yeah.
So thank you, team, the Confusement Trio, for your presentation. So let's move on to the next case.
Thank you for having us.
And thank you for the suggestions. We'll be involving them.
Yeah, I think the suggestions are very insightful. So once again, thank you.
Yeah. So let's move on to the next case study on the NGO Akshaya Patra Foundation. So we will call upon the team Pocket Aces. Please share your screen and start with the presentation.
Yes, I will be sharing our screen.
Yeah.
Good evening, everyone. So here we are.
Yeah, you're audible.
Yeah, you can go ahead, Ayush.
Good evening, everyone. Here we are, Team Pocket Assist from I'm Kashipur, and here I have my two teammates with me. I Ayush Agarwal and Nikhil Margaret and Himanshu Dayani. So yeah, you can move to the next slide. So our problem statement was that we have to attract the Gen Z and millennials to contribute to the encouragement and upliftment of the Akshaya Patra Foundation, through which they provide the midday meal program, that is most famous of the programs. So first of all, who is Gen Z? So these are the ones who are born in 1996 and later, and they make up the 40% of the entire population. We have seen that 60% of them want to work to make the difference, and just over 1 in 10 is that who wanted to do the charity. So basically the encouragement for charity is way less. So here in the right hand side there are needs and wants. So the one thing which they gives importance to the most is the truth and the transparency. So, according to the McKinsey and Company's survey, we have seen that these were the four truths which they usually want. One is that the unidentified ID, so they don't want their personal information to be disclosed on the social media or any other platform without their consent. Then there is community building, which is communaholic. So wherever they feel that their idea or there is a community of people which have a like-minded thoughts, they try to relate more with them. And the next is dialogue and realistic. In the second graph, we can see that the Gen Zers wants less confrontation and more dialogue. So basically, they believe in the importance of dialogue, and they want that the differences which they bring in the opinion of the systems should be accepted if they are worthy. So yeah, you can move to the next slide. So here are some of the ideas by which we can fulfill their needs. So first is aligning with the values of the Gen Z. This group gives very extra importance to the values and the belief. So the NGOs should take the feedback regarding the values and beliefs and accordingly design their work, because they feel more comfortable when they feel that their values are given importance. Next, as we all know that we are also Gen Zs and we know that we are grown up with the smartphones and we have experienced marketing in the digital age. So using platforms which are more famous like TikTok and Instagram should be used so as to encourage the youth. The next is showing them the impact with transparency. As previously also I mentioned that transparency is the thing they gives utmost importance. So here in the right hand side we have an interface, sample interface where which we can see that for what we are contributing and where our contribution is going, the purpose and how much we are contributing. Then next is we should keep the volunteer form simple and mobile friendly. Mostly we see that the NGOs usually do not have their like in the Akshaya Patra Foundation also there was a very lengthy form. So most of us, the attention span of the generation that is very small. So we usually ignore the form. So the form should be very simple for the charity program we are encouraging. Then the next is that instead of asking for a lump sum, as most of them are students or are just in the initial phase of their career, so they not have a large amount of like rupees 5,000 or 10,000. So there should be a subscription based model where you can pay 1,200 sorry 100 200 per month, which would encourage them, because 100 200 doesn't pinch you much, but 5,000 a single time pinches you. The next is the increase in the importance of storytelling. So, what another thing which was missing on the Akshay Patra's foundation website was that there was no type of any testimonials or something like that. So, if someone acknowledges that, if the Gen Zs are acknowledged that their work is being considered and their work has a major impact, then they feel more encouraged and motivated to do so. You can move to the next slide.
Thank you, Ayush. So now every NGO has a fellowship program in place. So we'll look at the structure of the fellowship program for Akshay Patra. The fellowship program here will last a full year, which includes about 3 months of training and the remaining months for gaining practical experience through community immersion. The objectives of this program include making the Gen Zs and millennials aware of the ground realities of the underprivileged communities and to help them develop leadership skills as well. And lastly, help Akshay Patra get the reach in their goal for feeding 5 million children by 2025. Now, the program is divided into 3 phases. Firstly, training phase, secondly, project phase, and lastly, enhancement phase. The reason for a one year long fellowship program is that the Gen Zs and millennials plan their activities mostly according to the academic years, and we want them to be onboarded with us for 1 year so that they stick to us and in turn increase the awareness and scale of the midday meals through the fellowship program by Akshaya Patra. In the training and development phase, we would be giving them soft skill training amongst many other health and nutrition awareness initiatives, and also attracting them by providing mentorship from master chefs like Sanjeev Kapoor. Now, talking about the impact project, here the millennials and Gen Zs will be placed in various locations around India where they stay. This would include, again, experience transferable skills in leadership, people management, and public speaking. Lastly, outbound activities and workshop. This would include a 10 days outbound training and an opportunity to be part of the leading team of the project. Now we'll look at the marketing strategy for the fellowship program.
Thank you, Himanshu. So I'll be talking about marketing and promotion of the fellowship program. So the analysis that we conducted from the secondary survey that we took from Deloitte's employment preference report of 2021, we identified these three as key motivators for Gen Z and millennials. So first would be sharpening their CVs. So 48% of Gen Z and millennials are willing to work on any unpaid or low paying projects if it helps them in any significant enhancements of their CV. And we can do that via giving them LOR certifications and LinkedIn recommendations to help them gain some CV points. We can also regularly recognize their work with prizes. Second motivation would be their skill enhancement. So 56% of Gen Z and millennials think they would prefer working for NGOs if the experience helps them in learning new skills. So this can be done by assigning roles with responsibilities and giving work that enhances skills to help them in personal and professional growth. We can also give them roles aligned to their background education, which will further enhance their capabilities in that stream of education. Another motivating factor was interest in social services. So 36% of Gen Zs and millennials are willing to actively participate in social work due to their personal interests, and we can give them roles aligning to their personal interests, which will further lead to their more participation. And I'll be talking now about how we can promote this program. We can come up with any emotional ad campaign depicting how underprivileged children need helping hand, and that will be effective in promotion of the campaign. We can also collaborate with other NGOs, which will help us in sharing social media visibility, their human resources, and lead to sharing capabilities, which will eventually lead to effective delivery towards our cause. We can also come up with campus ambassador program and campus, which will basically help us in promotion from various like promotion in various top universities. We can see that many of Gen Zs and millennials are from these universities, and they usually choose programs that are aligned with their university work, and such campus ambassadors program will help us in that direction. Another way to promote would be attracting the would be basically using their social media to promote our social work, and this can be done by making them share stories and posts about their work that they're doing with us, and we can do that by giving them awards for their good work, frequent appreciation on social media, and mentioning them in some good blogs that will be writing about them, and we can also maintain a wall of fame. This will basically lead to them sharing stories and posts on their social media, and this will increase our social media visibility. So,
Guys, the time is up. I will like you to wrap in 1 minute.
Sure, Chinmay. So that was the marketing part of it. Now let's look at the financial and operational problems that NGO might face. So according to a research paper published by the Ministry of Women and Child Development, we have some financial and operational problems that include inadequate financial provisions, limitations on raising funds from government, and increasing administrative costs. The operational problems include maintaining the quality of food, lack of public participation, and political inefficiency leading to misallocation of resources. Now, how do we what do we do for these problems? So firstly, local resource mobilization so as to address the problem of inadequate financial provisions. Next is regional NGO networks so as to increase the public participation. Corruption prevention can be done by appointing a commission of inquiry or committees. Local networking again for public participation, and lastly, monitoring mechanism at central, state, and district levels to ensure quality of food is served by checking the regularity of the food. That's it. Thank you.
Thanks, team. It was really great presentation, well structured with all the facts in place. Overall, I like this presentation. I don't have a question. I would just give a feedback on on the last slide on the marketing and the operational efficiencies. So I think you presented some numbers in terms of the percentages, like 16% increase in admin cost, inadequate financial provision. So I think maybe you can define it, like what does that percentage mean? Just for example, against the complicated legal process in getting the foreign fund, which is 16%. So it is quite unclear what does that 16% mean. So maybe, you could write as a short description or in some way that, okay, that's what it means. So it is more understandable to the audience, to the reader.
So there was a research paper published by the Ministry of Women and Child Development where we were provided with the financial and operational problems. So all of the financial problems combine and make up 100%. So this is basically a chart, which is a table which is showing us the magnitude of the financial problem.
Got it. Got it. Yeah, that's it from my side. Good stuff, guys.
Thank you.
Others, do you have any questions?
Sorry, I thought Ishan was taking over. I think again, pretty good presentation. Really liked all the aspects that you've covered, and I think the focus on Gen Z and Millennium, I think it was very well structured in this PPT specifically, accordingly aligning with the problem statement. So great on that, and also like pretty good on understanding what Gen Zers and Millennium see, say in aspects of what they require from these fellowships. I think pretty good work. No questions.
Yeah, like building on what Nandini and Yash said, guys, really nice presentation. Was really happy with the fact that you took your time to clearly state out the characteristics of Gen Zs and millennials as to what they want and what they would expect. Really put some clarity and put some perspective out there. Just one question. So since a lot of your slides mentioned as to Gen Zs like to work on projects which shows impact, can you give some instances where Gen Zs can be utilized? For example, where their perspective, the freshness that they bring into any project based because they are young and have a diversified point of view. So can you give some instances based on the Akshaya Patra Foundation, whatever they are doing, where we can actually employ Gen Z interns or Gen Z full-time employees and give them initiatives, give them, take up leadership positions where they can actually, display their might, and we might be able to reap out some good benefits out of this, out of whatever they are trying to do.
Yeah, so I have an example. So like when the Akshaya Patra donates the food for the midday meal, a lot of food gets wasted. So we can appoint someone from the technical background who can do the MS Excel and data visualization thing to predict that what quantity of food would be required for the next day, or like how many people turned up and what can be the forecast for the next day. Like they can use their Excel and they can use their data visualization skills, which are also the skills which are like valued a lot in the industry right now. In this way, they would realize that one thing, that the food is not wasted, and the second, that it would help in their skill enhancement as well.
And also adding to it, they can use their technology expertise and social media coverage for fundraising events for the foundation.
Yes, as Gen
that's
Z
a
and millennials
very fair
have.
point. Yeah, that's a very fair point considering that Gen Zs have relatively higher technical expertise as compared to some senior people in the employ. Yeah, great stuff, guys. Thank you so much. That'll be all from my side.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your feedbacks.
Okay. Thank you, team. Thank you, team Pocket Aces, for the presentation. So finally, I would like team Phoenix Rejects to come forward with the presentation.
Do we have Rishikesh Jadhav on the meet? I guess no. He's not responding to my call, so we are eliminating Phoenix Rejects for not showing up.
Okay. Then,
Yeah,
okay.
Chinna, please conclude the event.
Okay. So, judges, do you have any closing remarks?
So I guess I'll start first then. Great presentation, guys. Like my sincere best wishes to everyone who took out the time to develop well-detailed presentations and it give a lot of insights out there. Got to know a lot of stuff which I actually did not know before, and some points which I took up from this whole session. I'll definitely like to do a deep dive into it sometime whenever I get some free schedule in my upcoming days. But anyways, like I would really like to appreciate everyone, the organizing team, and the participants here for putting in this effort and making this event a great success. So thank you so much, guys. Nandini, Yash, would you like to add something to this?
Sure. Like in addition to what Ishan said, I would say the Quark. I like the initiative a lot. Like it's towards a social cause, solving the problem of NGOs, and the all the bright minds racking their brain to solve the problem. That would really be of benefit to a large community, especially the underprivileged people. So I love the cause, and I really feel very proud to be part of this event in some way or the other. And all the best to all the participants, and all not for just the competition, also for the future. Whatever you do, I wish you all the best, the best of luck. And yeah, over to Yash.
Hey guys, I think great work on firstly great work on the team with Goa. I think very engaging cases that you guys have gotten from all these organizations. Really like them. Really like the problem statement. I think some problems which are very say specific to all these people, specific to college students, can be very well solved with by them. So great work on that. Secondly, again, all the three teams, all the five teams, I guess, pretty good work. Really love the presentation, execution, and all the delivery mechanisms that you use. So brilliant work.
So I would like to thank Ishan sir, Nandini ma'am, and Yash sir for being the judges for the Social Conundrum finals. And I would like to thank all the teams and the judges for all the insights they provided throughout the event. And we'll shortly compile the results and post it on the Quark's official Instagram page. So do follow that. Okay. So concluding the event, I am Chinmay Sogani. This was Social Conundrum Finals presentation round, and I hope you have a good evening ahead of you. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Good night.
Happy Dhanteras.
Happy Diwali also. भाई साहब